Good evening, one and all. I once again warmly welcome you all to virtual internship program on IoT project development using industry grade microcontroller. Yesterday I was discussing about pull up and pull down registers. So purpose of pull up and pull down register I discussed yesterday, especially when microcontroller port pin is configured as digital input. You either require pull up or pull down register. If you are using keypad for interfacing with microcontroller, then keypad requires either pull up or pull down. You can use anyone, there is no problem. However, if you connect any external peripheral device, then depending upon the required mention in the data sheet, you have to either use pull up or pull down register. Basically, register is same. If you connect register in between 5 volt and output pin of the microcontroller, it becomes pull up. And when you connect register in between microcontroller port pin and ground, it becomes pull down. So it depends upon what kind of peripheral device you interface to the microcontroller. And when you are interfacing keypad to the port pins of the microcontroller, then you have both choices. Either you can go for pull up or pull down without any problem. I also discuss what is the purpose of pull up or pull down register. So with the help of one circuit, I discussed one circuit yesterday, that is Darlington pair. So what I told you is that when the wire connected on the input side of this Darlington pair, if it is left floating, then oscillations are developed. And those oscillations I showed you through video. Because of these oscillations, what happens is that output is not either at logic 0 or logic 1. It keep on fluctuating. Same thing happens in PIC microcontroller. So same thing happens here. When you configure microcontroller port pin for digital input operation, this pin is now digital input. So when microcontroller port pin is digital input, what happens is that for digital input, we write logic 1 to this TRIS latch. So connection at the output of this buffer gets broken because this buffer gets disabled. So there is no more connection between output of the data latch and this IO port pin. Now when this digital port, when this port pin is used as digital input, similar to the problem which I discussed in the Darlington pair, same thing happens here because buffer make use of MOSFETs inside, and construction of buffer is done using several MOSFETs, and input impedance of this buffer is very high. So if this input terminal of the buffer is not terminated either in logic 0 or logic 1, continuously oscillation, random oscillations are developed here. So when you perform read operation, problem is with read operation, oscillations at the output of buffer does not create any problem for functionality of the microcontroller. Output at this oscillations at the output of the buffer does not create any problem related to functionality of the microcontroller. However, if you perform read operation on the port pin, then sometimes data you read is either logic 0 or logic 1 because at the output of the buffer there are oscillations. You do not get consistent output when you read the data. So when you read the data from the microcontroller port pin, that data you may read into some variable or you may store into some SFR. So you do not get consistent data. Sometimes you may get logic 1, sometimes you may get logic 0. It keep on fluctuation. So therefore, to avoid such kind of fluctuations, we require here either pull up or pull down registers. That is the purpose of connecting pull up or pull down register. Now, if you require more number of pull up registers in your product, there are multiple options to you. First option is use simple kind of register. This is simple quarter watt register. So either 10K or 20K register you are supposed to use. If you use lower value of resistance, then larger current may flow through the circuit whenever there is active signal. For example, when you are using keypad for interfacing, whenever you press the key and pull up register is 10K, current flowing will be 0.5 milliampere. If pull up register is 1K, whenever you press the switch, current flowing will be 5 milliampere. So for smaller value of pull-up resistor, larger current will flow. So your power supply requirement will go up. Power supply must be able to source enough current required for your product. So try to keep current consumption minimum. So therefore, appropriate pull-up resistor is 10K or 20K. So there are two choices for you. Either use conventional resistor as a pull-up resistor or use resistor network. So this is 5-pin resistor network. And on the right hand side, there is 9-pin resistor network. Now internal to this resistor network, there are total 4 resistors. In 5-pin resistor network, internally there are 4 resistors. One end of all 4 resistors is shorted together and it is available as common terminal. So this is common terminal, and then you have here other 4 ends of the 4 resistors. On this register you will see it is printed 14G. 104 stands for 10K. So all these 4 registers are 10K. Pull-up registers are available with different values. However, most of the suppliers, they have 10K pull-up registers in their stock. If you go for other type of values, then they are not very easily available. There is one dot on this pull-up register. You will see there is dot. This dot indicates it is common pin. So this is common pin. So with the help of register network, you can save on space in your electronics on your circuit board. So the IoT kit which I developed, I am already using 5-pin register network. So it is here. This is 5-pin register network. Remaining 4 pins are connected to RB0, RB1, RB2, RB3. And common pin, this common pin is connected to this connector. Look at here. This is the connector. So common pin is here. This last pin is common. This last pin is connected to this buck strip. So whenever you short circuit this 5 volt gets connected to the pull-up register and it pull-up register becomes active. So this is what I have done in my IoT kit here. So you need to short circuit these 2 pins with the help of jumper wire. Then this pull-up register, common pin of the pull-up register get connected to 5 volt. So this is all about use of pull-up register. Just a summary of the registers associated with the port A. Example is given. Likewise, for other ports, other SFRs are associated. So for port A, total there are 8 pins. These pins are labeled as RA0, RA1, RA2 up to RA7. Along with port A, other associated registers are latch A. And I already told you, whenever we write data to the port A, data is written to the latch register. Trace register. Individual bits of the trace registers are like trace A0, trace A, trace A1, trace A2, trace A3 up to trace A7. ADCON 1 register is also associated with the port A. ADCON register. This ADCON 1 is special function SFR, special function register related to the analog to digital converter. So whenever we go for analog to digital conversion, we are supposed to make some of the pins analog. So some analog pins of ADC module, they are multiplexed with port pins of port A. So in detail, we'll understand how to write C code for analog to digital conversion. Comparator is also associated with port A. Before I start actual programming, let me first of all tell you, I'm going to discuss C code writing. I'm not going to discuss assembly code writing. Whenever you go for assembly code writing, you need to understand architecture of the microcontroller, entire architecture. But if you go with C programming, you need not understand entire architecture. You need to understand only few things related to the microcontroller. So that is the beauty of C programming. Another thing is, some of the operations are very difficult to implement in assembly programming. Let me tell you, I have developed two products based on assembly programming. There is, of course, one advantage of assembly programming. Whenever you write program in assembly code, your size of the code is very, very small. However, if same operation, if you write in C program, then size of your code gets increased. So that is the drawback of C program. However, if you go for licensed version of the compiler, then you can achieve code compression. So let me just quickly go through the block diagram of PIC18A4520. It has, of course, CPU similar to other type of microcontrollers. It has on-chip data memory. It is SRAM type of memory. It has separate address and data buses. Data bus is separate, address bus is separate. For data memory, address bus is 12-bit wide. So 2 raised to 12 becomes 4096. So maximum data memory possible on PIC18A4520 is 2 raised to 12. That is 4096 bytes. However, there is only 1536 bytes of data memory available. There is stack pointer, there is program counter. Program counter is 21-bit wide. In PIC18A4520, on chip program memory is 32K bytes. However, it is possible to connect external memory if on chip memory is not enough. So total 2 megabytes of memory can be addressed with 21 bits of program counter. There is 31 level stack. Stack memory is used for saving and retrieving return address of the function calls. So it is 31 level. 31 level means from one function to another function to again another function, we can make 31 calls. So it has 31 level deep stack memory. So with this 31 level stack, from one function to another function, we can do 31 times jumps. There is stack pointer. Then there are number of ports available like port A, port B, port C and port D. In this block diagram, there is one mistake. Few pins of port D are not shown here. Port D is again here 8-bit wide. So port A, port B, port C, port D and port E. Port E has total 4 pins. One pin is multiplexed with reset pin of the microcontroller. So when reset feature of the microcontroller is enabled, it cannot be used as port pin. However, remaining 3 pin can be used as general purpose input output port pins. It has on chip internal oscillator block, and there are number of oscillation frequencies we can configure with the help of internal oscillator block. It has 8 megahertz oscillator. It has on chip internal RC oscillator. Frequency of this internal oscillator is 31 kilohertz. So with the help of configuration memory bits, we can select required oscillator for operation of the microcontroller. It has on-chip power of timer. Let me quickly discuss what is purpose of power of timer. When you power on the PIC microcontroller, initially oscillation frequency will be generated. So for that purpose, there is on-chip oscillator, or you can connect external crystal. So whenever initially you power on the microcontroller, this oscillator requires some time to stabilize, because initially generated oscillation frequency will not be stable. For example, if you want 8 megahertz oscillation frequency, so as soon as microcontroller is powered on, oscillation frequency may not be 8 megahertz. So it requires finite amount of time for oscillator to get stabilized. So purpose of this power of timer, if it is enabled, it delays the program execution. So usually it adds around 66 millisecond delay. This power up timer has total 11 bits. Power up timer is 11-bit wide. So 2 raised to 11, it becomes around 2048. For power up timer, input frequency is coming from oscillator. So oscillator you may select on-chip oscillator or you may select crystal oscillator. Whatever oscillator you select for microcontroller, that oscillation frequency is input to the power of timer. So it counts 2048 pulses. So 2000, after counting 2048 pulses, it signals CPU to start the execution. So it adds around 66 millisecond delay if internal RC oscillator is selected. So that is the purpose of power of timer. It delays program execution so that source of oscillation gets stabilized. So similar to microprocessors or microcontrollers, it has arithmetic logic unit, instruction decoder and control circuit. So I will not spend more time here. So remaining part is more general. Focus of this internship program is how we can make use of this microcontroller for developing some applications. So in the interest of time, I will not go into the details of architecture. So my focus is how we can make use of microcontroller for building applications. So there is watchdog timer available on chip, power on reset module, brownout reset module. 4 timers are available. Out of 4, 1 timer is 8-bit and remaining 3 timers are 16-bit. There is data EEPROM available, on-chip comparator available. CCP stands for capture compare mode. There is MSSP module. It is used for implementation of serial communication protocol like I2C or SPI. There is separate module for implementation of asynchronous communication protocol. And there is 10-bit ADC. Now let me quickly discuss memory organization. So different types of memories are available in PIC microcontroller, like program memory. Program memory is also called flash memory. So on chip memory available is 32 K bytes. So you will see here memory map for program memory. Its reset vector is 000H and it goes up to 7FFH. So total, if you calculate, total memory is 32 K bytes. This is for PIC 18A4520. Reset vector is at 0000. So whenever microcontroller is reset, it start execution from this reset vector address 000X. High priority interrupt vector is at 0008. So whenever high priority interrupt gets triggered, microcontroller saves the program counter on stack memory and jumps to this vector. If low priority interrupts are triggered, then its vector address is at 001X. As I already said, stack memory is 31 level deep. It has 31 level deep stack. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Let me once again explain. Suppose we have main program. You have main program here. From main program, if you are calling some function 1. From this function 1, if you are calling again another function 2. Then from function 2, you may call function 3. Likewise, from one function to another function, you can go up to 31 functions. Function 31. So each time what happens is that return address of the function is pushed onto the stack memory. This is function 31. So after function 31, if you attempt to call function 32, then what happens is that the stack memory is kind of circular buffer. In this case, there is overflow of stack pointer, and when there is overflow of stack pointer, if you have enabled stack overflow reset, then reset will be triggered. So that reset is called reset due to stack overflow. So while writing any application program, you have to ensure that there is no stack overflow. So we need not load program counter with any specific value when you write program in C. It is role of compiler to put your code at appropriate program memory locations. So you do not require knowledge of stack pointer, you do not require knowledge of program counter, especially when you write program in C code. So when you write the C code at the time of compilation, compiler, it is the job of compiler to put your code at appropriate locations. Quickly, let me discuss PIC18 instruction cycle. So this figure shows clock instruction cycle. In PIC microcontroller, you can select source of oscillator, maybe on chip or maybe external. So whatever source of oscillation you select, that oscillator frequency is divided by 4. What is your clock? This F clock is F oscillator divided by 4. So internally, this oscillation frequency is divided by 4 and 4 quadruple non-overlapping cycles are generated. These cycles are called Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4. This Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. These signals are non-overlapping. You can see here, these are non-overlapping signals. This PIC microcontroller makes use of pipelining architecture. What is meant by pipelining architecture is microcontroller fetches instruction from the program memory. So after fetching the instruction, it is latched in instruction decoder register. Instruction decoder register decodes instruction and this instruction is executed in Q2, Q3 and Q4 cycles. Remember, during Q1 cycle, microcontroller fetches the instruction from the program memory which is pointed by program counter and it latches that instruction into the instruction decoder. So this instruction then is executed in Q2, Q3 and Q4 cycles. When instruction is being executed, microcontroller fetches next instruction from the program memory. You can see here there is overlap. So when one instruction is fetched, during next cycle it is executed. During execution time, it fetches another instruction from the program memory. So there could be possibility of branch instruction like call or jump. So during that, what happens is that then one more extra cycle is required, and during this cycle, the instruction which is there in the pipeline architecture is flushed out, and then program counter is loaded with address where jump is to be done. So remember, your clock frequency is F oscillator by 4. Next is data memory. Data memory, there are two types, SRAM and EPROM. This SRAM is volatile memory. You know what is meant by volatile memory? In volatile memory, the data saved is lost when microcontroller power is switched off. This data memory is divided into several banks. Total 16 banks are there. Bank numbers are starting from 0. So bank 0 to bank 15. Total 16 banks are there. In each bank, there are 256 bytes of memory. Each bank contains 256 bytes. In the first bank, this first bank is divided into two parts, that is access RAM and GPR. GPR stands for general purpose random access memory. The general purpose RAM is used for scratchpad operations and storage of your data variables. For example, in your program, You may create integer type of data. You may create character type of data. So whenever you create variables in your program, the values of those variables are saved in general purpose RAM. This access RAM contains special function registers. The special function registers are associated with on-chip peripheral devices like timer 0, timer 1, timer 3, ADC module. So each and every peripheral device have associated with them SFRs. So those SFRs are mapped in access RAM. What is the purpose of access RAM? The SFRs in access RAM are most frequently required in program. And in order to access them very quickly, they are mapped in access RAM. However, if you want to access memory locations in GPR, it is necessary to select that bank. However, let me tell you, when you write program in your C code, this bank selection is automatically done with the help of, there is one more SFR, and that role is played by compiler. So again, you need not access specific location. Automatically, it is handled by compiler. So whenever we access any SFR by its name, it is automatically accessed from this access RAM. And to access the bank, there is a special function register called BSR. Whenever you write program in assembly language, you need knowledge of this BSR, how to select bank, how to access particular register in that bank. So that knowledge is required when you write code in assembly. But if you write code in C, you need not require knowledge of this bank selection register. So it is automatically done by compiler. So access RAM is there in first bank as well as last bank. So last bank is bank 15. So last 128 bytes of bank 15 are also mapped in access memory. So remaining banks in PIC 18A4520, like bank number 3 to bank number 14, not used. Sorry, this is 440. This is memory map of PIC 18A4520. So here bank number 6 to bank number 14, they are not implemented in PIC 18A4520. So total SRAM bytes available are 1536 bytes. So this is all about data memory. So I think I should not discuss what are the addressing modes, because when you write program in C code, knowledge of addressing mode is not required. Now let's discuss oscillator. In PIC microcontroller, number of options are available for getting the oscillation frequency. You know that without clock signal, microcontroller cannot function. This clock function is derived from oscillator. This clock signal is, as I already mentioned, clock signal is F oscillator divided by 4. So in PIC devices, there are number of choices for oscillation source, and you can select anyone. This type of oscillator you can decide with the help of bits in the configuration memory. There is another memory available in PIC devices called configuration memory. This configuration memory is mapped at the end of program memory. Configuration memory cannot be written or read during program execution. We can modify configuration memory bits only with the help of programmer. So at the time of programming the device, we can modify bits in the configuration memory. So first of all, I will discuss oscillator module. And in all my products, I have not used external crystal for generating the oscillation frequency. I always use on-chip block. When you use external crystal, size of the PCB will increase and cost of the product will also increase. Oscillator configuration. Let me tell you, one problem with on-chip oscillator may be, there may be small drift in the oscillation frequency if you select on-chip oscillator. If your application does not require very precise time, then you can definitely use on-chip oscillator. With the help of external crystal, you can generate very precise timing. If your application requires very precise timing, then you can go for external crystal. Like for IoT implementation, GSM interfacing, you can manage with on-chip oscillator. You do not require external crystal. So oscillator, there are number of choices. In the configuration memory, I am going to talk about configuration memory at the time of programming. So you can select any one of these, like low power crystal, crystal resonator, high speed crystal resonator. Usually when you connect external crystal, I recommend to use this mode, high speed crystal resonator. There is also phase lock loop available. With the help of phase lock loop, we can increase oscillation frequency up to 32 megahertz in peak 18F4520. You can also connect externally RC crystal, RC external resistor capacitor for generating the oscillation frequency. So number of choices are available here. I want to emphasize this option number 7 and 8. What does it mean? If you select internal oscillator, for selection of internal oscillator, you have two choices, INT IO1 and INT IO2. What is the meaning of this? Let me go to the pin diagram. The point I want to discuss here is pin number 13 and 14. What is written here? OSG1, OSG2. It is multiplexed with RSA1 and RS6 pins of port A. And what is also written here is clock in and clock out. So whenever you go for external crystal, that external crystal must be connected in between pin number 13 and 14. So pin number 13 and 14 is shown here. This is pin number 13 and this is pin number 14 of the microcontroller. This is the crystal, and you also require two more capacitors along with crystal. So if you go for external crystal, you not only require a crystal, but two capacitors are also required. This capacitance value is also mentioned in the data sheet. So you may use 8 megahertz crystal, you may use 16 megahertz crystal. It is up to you. According to requirement, you can select the crystal. So now, what is the meaning of this INT-IO1 and INT-IO2? When you select internal oscillator, you can decide functionality on the RA6 and RA7 pin. So when you go for INT-IO1 option, then you select internal oscillator with F oscillator by 4 output on RA6 and IO functionality on RA7. So with this option INT-IO1, what happens is that on RA6 pin you get clock output. So clock signal, F oscillator by clock signal is available here. And what is the frequency? F oscillator by 4. So you get clock signal, and this clock signal you can use for other peripheral devices if required. What is another option? INT-IO2. When you select this option, internal oscillator is selected with IO on RA6 and RA7. So you do not get clock signal on any port pin. Both RA6 and RA7 port pin function as general purpose input output pins. And with INT-IO option, RA6 becomes on RA6 pin you will get clock signal, and on RA7 pin you can implement general purpose input output functionality. So this is the meaning of these different modes. Now in my most of the products, I use this option number 8, INT-IO2, because in my product I do not require clock signal on any port pin. So I select this option INT-IO2. Now there is on-chip oscillator available, on-chip SFR available. So with the help of this on-chip special function register, we can select required oscillation frequency. And this SFR is oscillator control register. This abbreviated name is OSC-CON. Its full form is oscillator control register. Whenever you refer any SFR in your program, it must be referred with respect to abbreviated name. So this OSC-CON register is 8-bit wide. All SFRs are 8-bit wide. Now understand how to read each and every bit in this SFR. At the top of this figure, what is written here? R/W. It means that this first bit is readable as well as writable. R stands for readable, W stands for writable. So meaning of R is readable, meaning of W is writable. -0. Whenever microcontroller is reset, maybe power on reset or maybe putting reset signal on the reset pin of the microcontroller or with other kind of reset, SFRs are loaded with default values. So this number after RW written here indicates what is the default status of this bit. So on power on reset, this idle enable bit becomes 0. IRCF2 bit becomes 1. IRCF1 bit becomes 0. This is the meaning. So default value is also given here. And meaning is given here, like R is readable bit, W is writable bit, U stands for unimplemented bit, N means number. This N is valued at power on reset. POR stands for power on reset. So this 0 means power on reset value of this bit is 0. 1 means power on reset value of this bit is 1, and so on. Now let us understand how to make use of this register to select oscillation frequency. This first bit is not relevant to us, bit 7. Bit number 4 to 6 in this register. Bits are counted from this side. Bit 0 is on the right hand side. Bit 0, bit 7. These 3 bits. So as bits are counted from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. This bit is 4, bit number 5, bit number 6. So with the help of these 3 bits, we can select one of the oscillation frequency. Total 8 different frequencies are possible here. Look at here. With 3 bits, 2 raised to 3. 8 combinations are possible. So we can select 8 megahertz, 4 megahertz, 2 megahertz, 1 megahertz, 500 kilohertz, 250 kilohertz, 125 kilohertz, or 31 kilohertz. When you select 31 kilohertz frequency, it is obtained from on-chip RC oscillator. Whereas for other frequencies, they are obtained from 8 megahertz on-chip oscillator block. This 4 megahertz, 2 megahertz, 1 megahertz is obtained by post scaler. That is at the output of 8 megahertz oscillator block, there is frequency divider, and this is that frequency divider is called post scaler. So with the help of this bit, you can directly get oscillation frequency from the oscillator without any post scaler. You can bypass it, or you can go for 4 megahertz, 2 megahertz, 1 megahertz. In most of my products, I use 8 megahertz or 4 megahertz oscillation frequency. So for example, if you want 4 megahertz oscillation frequency, then in your program, you must load these 3 bits with value 110. So I will tell you how to calculate the code word which is to be loaded in OSC-CON register. So first bit, you can write anything. It is not related to oscillation frequency. So I have written 1. For 4 megahertz oscillation frequency, this IRCF bits, IRCF stands for internal oscillator frequency select bits. So these 3 bits must be 110. 110. Next bit is OSTS, and it is readable bit. It is not writable. Even if you attempt to write it, it will not be written. This IOFS bit is again readable. So the bits which are readable cannot be written, and if you attempt to write, it will not be actually written. Last 2 bits are related to oscillator selection. What type of oscillator you want to select? So for readable bits, you can put anything here. So time being, I will put 1 1. Last two bits. Last two bits are important. System clock selection bits. So when last two bits are 1, don't care, internal oscillator block is selected. When last two bits are 0 1, timer 1 is selected as oscillator. And when 0 0, primary oscillator. Meaning of primary oscillator is it may be external crystal oscillator. So for us, if you are using internal on chip oscillator, for us, one don't care combination is relevant. So one don't care means 1 0 or 1 1. So it can be 1 0 or 1 1. I am putting 1 1. Now what you do is group first 4 bits together. 1 1 1 0. If you convert 1 1 1 0 into hex, it becomes E. And when you group last 4 bits together, it becomes hexadecimal F. So what is the code word? 0xEF. So to have on-chip oscillator along with 4 MHz oscillation frequency, OSC con register must be loaded with 0xEF. So for other oscillation frequencies, these 3 bits will be different. So this is all about use of on-chip oscillator. There is one more register associated with this oscillator block, and this is called oscillator tuning register. So let me discuss this register as well. There is one more SFR associated with on-chip oscillator. This is the block diagram of on-chip oscillator. Let me just quickly discuss it. There is an internal oscillator block. It generates 8 MHz frequency, and there is one more internal oscillator. Internal oscillator always generates 31 kHz frequency. With the help of this port scaler is controlled by OSC con register. Like there are 3 bits I told you. Just now I told you there are 3 bits IRCF2, IRCF1, IRCF0. These 3 bits control this port scaler. So when prescaler is, just me once again recall it. When these 3 bits are 1 1 1, then this port scaler is bypassed. When these 3 IRCF bits are 1 1 1, port scaler is bypassed. This 8 MHz frequency directly comes here. For 8 MHz operation, our IRC bits are 110. So what happens is that for 110 IRC bit combination, this 8 MHz frequency is divided by 2. So at the output, what do we get here? 4 MHz. Meaning is given here. Look at here. OSC con register, bit number 4 to 6 controls it. So what happens here? 111, 110. Accordingly, you will get oscillation frequency. There is one more register called oscillator tuning register. What is the purpose of tuning register? Let's understand. This is again SFR, special function register. It can be modified in program with the help of this name, OSC tune register. So all these registers are mapped in access memory on the PIC device. So all these special function registers are static RAM locations. So last how many bits here? Last 5 bits. With the help of last 5 bits, you can tune oscillation frequency. What is meaning of tuning? This PIC 18F4520 is factory calibrated for 8 MHz oscillation frequency. However, with the help of oscillator control register, you can select required oscillation frequency one among the 8 combinations. It may be like 8 MHz, 4 MHz, 2 MHz, 1 MHz, 0.5 and so on. When you select internal oscillator as a source of oscillation frequency, problem is this oscillation frequency may drift slightly. There may be slight drift, and that drift may be due to change in temperature. So because of change in temperature, this oscillation frequency may slightly drift. There is provision to correct this drift. So how to correct this drift is with the help of this tuning register. And there are last 5 bits here. Tune 0, tune 1, tune 3, tune 3, tune 4. With the help of these 5 bits, we can slightly modify oscillation frequency. If, for example, if you have set oscillation frequency for 4 megahertz, and it may not be exactly 4 megahertz, it may be slightly less than that. For example, it may be 3.99 megahertz, or it can be 4.01 megahertz. So with the help of this tuning register, you can either increase or decrease this oscillation frequency about the set frequency. So this tuning register on power on reset is loaded with 0, 0, 0, 0. All bits are 0. Look at here. Power on default value is also given here. So on power on reset, OSC tune register is loaded with 0, 0, 0. So when these bits are 0, 0, 0, it runs at center frequency, and assume center frequency is 4 megahertz, but it may not be 4 megahertz. So by measuring this drift, you can of course measure the small drift with the help of writing the code for timer. So with the help of timer, you can check the possible amount of drift. So by writing these 5 bits appropriately, you can either increase or decrease frequency. One possible combination is given here, like when these 5 bits are all ones, then you get maximum frequency, and when these 5 bits are all zeros, you get minimum frequency. So with the help of tuning register, you can modify this oscillation frequency to small extent, not large extent. Remember. So how much is the variation? It is not mentioned in the data sheet. So small correction is possible in oscillation frequency. This programming part I will discuss later. Reset. There are number of resets in peak devices, like power on reset. Whenever microcontroller is powered on, microcontroller goes into power on reset mode. And if power up timer is enabled, there is around 66 millisecond delay is added, and after that delay, actual program execution begins. MCLR reset. MCLR stands for master clear reset. So it is hardware reset. In peak microcontroller, there is one port pin, that is pin number 1. Pin number 1, let me quickly discuss. This pin number 1. This pin number 1 serves 3 purposes. Number 1, hardware reset. Number 2, at the time of programming, it is connected to PIC-Kit 2 or PIC-Kit 3 programmer. And third, it can function as RE3 pin of port E. So you can select this pin number 1 either for port RE3 operation or reset operation, and that is accomplished with the help of configuration bits in the memory, bits in the configuration memory. So when you configure pin number 1 for reset operation, then you require here one pull-up register. If you do not connect pull-up register when you use pin for MCLR operation, then your microcontroller code will not function. Microcontroller will go again and again in reset condition. So when pin number 1 is configured for MCLR functionality, there must be here pull-up register to this pin, either 10K or 20K, and you must tie it to 5 volt. If you want to perform reset operation with the help of switch, then what you can do is just connect one switch here. Other end of the switch is grounded here. So you will have here switch. It can be any kind of switch. Usually people use tactile switch. So in my IoT kit, I have given their switch for reset operation. So when you close this switch, logic 0 will be applied here. This reset is active low. Whenever you apply logic 0, microcontroller enters into reset condition. And when you open the switch, logic 1 gets applied, microcontroller comes out of the reset condition, and it begins program execution. So there are number of reset events in peak microcontroller. Reset due to MCLR pin. There is watchdog timer. When watchdog timer overflows, special reset event is reset event is triggered. Then there is programmable brownout reset. Yesterday I talked about what is meant by brownout reset. There is reset instruction. In assembly instruction set, there is one instruction related to reset operation, reset. So in C programming, you can also interface, also include assembly instructions. There is provision for it. I will discuss at the time of programming. In C program, you cannot directly execute reset instruction. You require their small piece of code in assembly. So small assembly piece of code we can include in C program with the help of special directives. That I will talk later. Then there is stack full reset and stack underflow reset if you are enabled. And you can check source of reset with the help of reset control register. I also discussed about this reset control register yesterday. All these bits are active low. For example, by reading the reset control register, you can check what type of reset event has happened. Whether reset is due to brownout reset, whether reset is due to power on reset, whether reset is due to power down reset, timer overflow, due to reset instruction, and whether reset is due to overflow of watchdog timer. This TO bar bit is associated with watchdog timer. So after reading this register, if you find this TO bar bit is 0, it means that reset is due to watchdog timer overflow. If you read this register and if you find that BOR bit is 0, it means that reset is happen due to brownout reset, and so on. Input pin. Especially, never keep digital input pin floating. I already discussed, when digital input pin is floating, there may be oscillation generated inside the port pin. Those oscillation may not cause malfunctionality. The problem is, if your pin is input and if you do not either use pull up or pull down register, if you read the data, then that data will be erroneous. That's the only thing. MCLR pin should not be left floated. If your MCLR pin is left floated, your code may work, may not work. In between, reset event will be triggered. So microcontroller will again and again reset if MCLR pin is left floating. It must be connected to pull up register. However, if pin number 1 is used for general purpose input output functionality, then you do not require any kind of pull up register. This is the recommended circuit. I do not use this circuit. I just connect 10K pull up register. I do not use this diode and capacitor. Still my product is working properly. This is just additional recommendation given in the data sheet. Power on reset I already discussed. Whenever any kind of reset is triggered, most of the SFRs are loaded with default values. Status register. The status register is associated with arithmetic logic unit. And in most of the microprocessors and microcontrollers, some kind of status register is always there. Maybe names will be different. So this is again 8-bit register. First, the 3 bits are unimplemented. This C stands for carry flag. DC stands for auxiliary carry flag. Z stands for zero flag, overflow flag, and N stands for negative result. So this status register is used in arithmetic and logic operations. Now I will talk about use of MPLAB XIDE software. First of all, what is MPLAB XIDE? IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. MP stands for your microchip. So microchip, MPLAB XIDE, lab means laboratory. So MPLAB XIDE, it is software program that is used to develop applications for microchip controllers as well as DSPs, that is digital signal processors. So same software is applicable for microcontrollers as well as digital signal processors manufactured by Microchip company. This development tool is called an integrated development environment, and it is freely available. This software is available on the website of Microchip, and they keep on releasing different versions. So they keep on updating features in the software. So whenever they update the software, new version is available on their website. So MPLAB XID is freely available software. And for writing the C program, along with MPLAB XID software, we require compiler, that is X8 compiler. There are third-party compilers available as well. So you can use any one. The X8 compiler is is available in two modes: free mode, that is unlicensed version, and licensed version. So X8 compiler is also available on website of Microchip company. I have already uploaded this MPLAB XID software and X8 compiler on my Google Drive, and I have shared link on WhatsApp group. So those who want to do hands-on in C programming for PIC microcontroller, I recommend them to install MPLAB XID software as well as X8 compiler. Installation is very easy. If you just start the installation, that installation application will guide you how to proceed further. So MPLAB XID include a full-featured text editor. To write your C code, you require text editor. So text editor is available in MPLAB XID software. It has also project manager that provides integration and communication between IDE and language tools. It has also debugger engine that provides breakpoints, single stepping, watches windows, and all the features of modern debugger. So while writing the C code, I will discuss about how to debug the code by adding breakpoints, and how to make use of single stepping to monitor content of some SFRs and to monitor variable values. So that we can do with the help of debugger. It has software simulator. So software simulator is also available in MPLAB XID. It is freely available. So simulator does not require any license. With the help of this simulator, we can do simple kind of simulations. In this simulator, you cannot interface external peripheral devices. That is the limitation. So you cannot interface external peripheral devices in this simulator. So simple simulations we can carry out with the help of this simulator available in MPLAB XID. You require X8 compiler. Third-party compilers are also available, but X8 compiler is made available by Microchip company. What is the role of compiler? When you write C program for your embedded application, it requires compiler. Role of compiler is to convert this C code into executable code. Executable code is in binary format. So compiler converts C file into hex file. Hex file contains binary data. Hex file is also called executable program. So this hex file we download in the flash memory of the PIC microcontroller with the help of programmer. So the number of programmers are available: PICkit2, PICkit3, and PICkit4. You can use any one. So role of compiler is to compile C code into hex file. So software debuggers already I discussed. Limitation of simulator also I have already discussed. Now when you open the MPLAB XID software, this graphical user interface window will be open. So let me show you. When you install MPLAB XID software, there will be icon on your desktop. This is the icon. MPLAB XID, and my version is 5.35. Just double click on this icon. This MPLAB XID software will be open. So I will talk about how to create new project little bit later. Just I want to show you this graphical user face window of the MPLAB XID software. This main window has sub windows. So they are divided into small sub windows. This particular sub window is called file pane. So details of your project, all the details of your project like your source file, header files, all those details you will find in this file pane. Below this file pane, there is navigation pane. This pane is called navigation pane. As name indicates, in this navigation pane, there are two tabs. Let me show you. One tab is here, PEEK 18F 4.20X. This is the project name, dashboard, and another tab is navigator. So I have not, just me. If I run the program, then in this navigator, you will see the name of all the functions in your C file. Then special labels that you create. All the details you will find in this navigation pane. And on another tab, there is small dashboard, and this dashboard indicates name of the device used, like PEEK 18F 4.20. When you build the program, you will come to know that how much data memory is utilized by your program, how much program memory is utilized by your program. So all those details you will get in navigation pane. After navigation pane, there is editor pane. In editor pane, you can open your text file for writing your C code. So all the editing operation you can do it in this editor pane. There is another pane called task pane. In this task pane, you can view content of SFR, you can view content of program memory, you can view content of configuration memory. So task pane is used for viewing the content of different memories like EEPROM memory, data memory, you can view content of program memory and so on. Now I will talk about configuration memory. Configuration memory is really important memory. If you write beautiful code, your code is 100% correct. However, if bits in the configuration memory are not properly set, then your code will not work. For example, your code is 100% correct. You plan to use on-chip oscillator, and by default, if external crystal mode is selected, then in your product there will not be crystal. So what will happen is that oscillation frequency will not be generated, and your code will not be executed. So proper configuration of the bits in the configuration memory is really important. And with the help of bits in the configuration memory, we can control many peripheral devices. For example, with the help of configuration bits, you can decide whether you want to go for external crystal or on-chip oscillator. If on-chip oscillator, what type of oscillator you want to select? So all different types of these features can be controlled with the help of bits in the configuration memory. These bits cannot be modified through software program. Let me once again repeat. It cannot be modified with your software program. Bits in the configuration memory we can modify at the time of programming the device. So once you program the device, you can modify when you reprogram it. So configuration memory can be written only with the help of PICKIT programmer. Then control program execution with breakpoints. When you have written a C code and if it is not functioning properly, and if you wish to check content of some SFRs in between, say for example, if your program has, let's say, 40 instructions, and if your program is not giving proper result, then you may wish to check what is the content of one particular SFR when first 10 instructions are executed. So that can be accomplished when you add breakpoint in your program. So you can put breakpoint, and through simulation you can execute the program. So once breakpoint is added, program gets halted at the breakpoint, and once program gets halted, you can check content of different SFRs for debugging purpose. So that is the purpose of adding breakpoint. In addition, we can also do single stepping. So let me show you how to add the breakpoint very quickly. It is very easy. Just for demonstration purpose, I am opening already created C file. I will talk about how to create new C file slightly after this. Say for example, I want to add breakpoint on line number 63 in my program. So just click on line number 63. This red square indicates breakpoint. So breakpoint is added on line number 63. So when you start simulation, your program gets halted at line number 63. You can add multiple breakpoints. Just click on the line numbers, different line numbers. These breakpoints will be automatically added. And when you once again click on this red square here, this breakpoint will be removed from the program. So this way you can add or remove breakpoints. So breakpoint I already discussed how to add breakpoints. Before we go for actual C programming, just quickly revise. Let me quickly revise. In C program, there are reserved keywords, and these reserved keywords should not be used as variable names like auto, double, integer, struct, switch, long, else. These are the reserved keywords, and I hope all the participants know C programming. So these reserved keywords should not be used for variable names. Another important point is name of all SFRs cannot be used as data variable. If you use name of SFR as a data variable, then actually that SFR will be read or written. And if that SFR is some kind of control register, then that peripheral device may malfunction. So name of SFRs should not be used as data variable. Let me show you names of these SFRs. So these are the SFRs available in PIC 18F4520. Just to name a few, the status register we already discussed. Timer 0 high byte, timer 0 low byte. These two SFRs are associated with timer 0. Then timer 0 control register. So these names are used for accessing the SFRs. So they should not be used as variable name. So this list is given here. Then next, data types used in PIC microcontroller, especially for C programming. So this X8 compiler supports these data types. Sign character 8-bit, range is -128 to +127. Unsigned character 8-bit, 0 to 255. Signed integer 16-bit, this is the range. Unsigned integer 16-bit. Signed long 32-bit, unsigned long 32-bit. Signed long 64-bit, and unsigned long 64-bit. And range is also given here. So these data types are supported by X8 compiler. Preprocessor directive. All of you already aware about this preprocessor directive, like hash define, hash include. These are preprocessor directive. The example of this hash include. This preprocessor directive is used to include the text of an external file into a program. So this hash include, hash define are preprocessor directives. So this is again these preprocessor directives are piece of code. When this code is run, it generates output, and this output is actually used as input by C compiler, this X8 compiler. So with the help of hash define directive, we can substitute text for specified identifiers. So with the help of program, we'll see how to make use of these preprocessor directives. There is another directive called hash pragma. So we'll see how to use of this hash pragma directive, especially for configuration of configuration memory. Bitwise operators, ampersand, vertical bar, notch, tilde, then right shift and left shift operations, bitwise. C program control statements, if else, for, while, do while, break, continue, switch, return. If statement, I think I should not spend time here. So these are general control statements, for loop, while loop. All these control constructs are supported in this embedded C programming. Break statement. Break statement is used to terminate the loop, maybe for loop or while loop. Return statement is not used in C program, it is used in assembly program. Now let me quickly discuss configuration memory. And then tomorrow we'll see how to write first of all simple code. I will first of all explain how to write code for making LED on and off. Then we'll go for LCD program. After that we'll go for ADC program. And after that we'll go for I2C program. So some of you might be knowing PIC microcontroller, but there are many participants in this program. They do not know PIC microcontroller. So that's why I'm starting with simple programs, and then we'll move on towards complex programs. So to modify bits in the configuration memory, so this is graphical user interface of the MPLAB XID software. At the top you will see there is ribbon bar, and this ribbon bar contains menus and icons. At the top there is menu bar and there is toolbar. Toolbar contains different icons. So many functions we can carry out with the help of these icons given here. So one by one we'll discuss. Now to modify the contents of configuration memory, you click on the window menu. When you click on the window menu, drop down list will pop up. Now you scroll down to target memory views. Just scroll down to target memory views. Again, one more list will pop up. You can select here program memory, file register, SFRs, configuration bits. Total 6 options are there. Time being, we want to see configuration bits. So I'm selecting configuration bits. So this task pane window is open. This configuration memory is mapped after program memory. It is not directly accessible through program, as already mentioned. So it is part of flash memory, but it is separate from the flash memory. Now there are different fields given here, fields and options. Like you can see here, address of the configuration memory, then name, configuration register 1 high byte, configuration register 2 low byte, configuration register 2 high byte, configuration register 3 high byte, and so on. H stands for high byte, L stands for low byte, and so on. After that there is value. This is the default value. Then field. Fields are important for us, field and option. Purpose of this field and option we'll see. Oscillator. As I told you, we are supposed to select oscillator source, and that we can do with the help of this field. For this field, there are number of options available. So if you click on this tab here, if you click on this option tab here, in fact this is list. If you click it here, different options you will see in this list box. What are the options here? INT-IO7, INT-IO67, RC-IO6, HSPLL, ESC. So there are different options available here. You can select any one. I am selecting now INT-IO67. That's what we want. We don't want clock signal on the RA6 and RA7 pin. We want RA6 and RA7 pins to be general purpose input output pins. So when I select this option, its description appears in the last column here. Look at here. What is the description? Internal oscillator block, port function on RA6, RA7. So this is how I have selected required oscillator source. I have selected on-chip oscillator. If you select HS oscillator is selected. When you select HS oscillator option, you need to connect external crystal, remember. So we want on-chip oscillator. For that you select either INT-IO7 or INT-IO67. I have selected INT-IO67. Then another relevant bit, this FCMEN, fail-safe clock monitor enable bit. I am not using it. So next important is power up timer. If you especially if you are using external crystal, then this power up timer is recommended to use. So when you click on this option field here, it will convert into list box, and there are two options, on and off. In my program, most of the time I enable this power up timer. So what is the description here? PWRT enabled. PWRT means power up timer is enabled. So name of this bit is power up timer enable bit category. Then brownout reset. If you want brownout reset in your application, you must enable it. So brownout disable enable bits here. So I don't want brownout reset. And if you select this first option, SBO RDIS, what does it mean? It is meaning is given in the setting column here. Brownout reset enabled in hardware only. So you cannot modify it in software. And if I just make it on, so what does it mean? Brownout reset enabled and controlled by software. Through program, you can also control it. So in only one of my program I use brownout reset, that is wireless mobile auto. So timing I am keeping it off. So when brownout reset is off, there is no meaning for BORV field. However, if you enable brownout reset, then this BORV field, you have total 4 choices for setting the threshold. Like yesterday I showed you in my data table, there are 4 choices for the brownout reset threshold. Let me quickly show you. Here there are 4 threshold levels for brownout reset, like 4.82, 4.55, 2.93 and 2.22. So when these BOR bits are 00, what do you get here? Threshold level of brownout reset is 4.82. When bit 01, 4.55 threshold level for brownout reset, 10, 2.93 and so on. So when this BO or V field, this when you select this option 3 here, it is minimum setting. So lower threshold is selected for brownout reset. When it is 0, maximum setting, and so on. So 4 levels are there for threshold. And when you make brownout reset off, meaning of BORV is not there. So there is no meaning for BORV, brownout reset is off. Then watchdog timer. If required, you can go for watchdog timer. Purpose of watchdog timer we'll discuss at some other point of time. I don't want watchdog timer. And if you enable watchdog timer, then you can have post scaler for watchdog timer. With the help of post scaler, you can control watchdog timer overflow time. Then capture compare mode related fields. This PBAD enable. If it is on, what happens you see? If PBAD is on, then 4 pins on the port B are configured for analog input. And when this PBADNE is off, this RB0, RB1, RB2, RB3 port pins are configured for digital input output. So you can, with the help of this field and with the help of option, you can decide whether you want to configure RB0, RB1, RB2, RB3 port pin as an analog pin on power on reset or digital input output pin. When this off option is selected, then this 4 port pins are configured for digital input output. So I think it is already 7:15. I will stop here. We will continue tomorrow. So let's start question answer session. Recording. There is one question from Manish Jadhav. What if stack overflow occurs? It will again point to first function, you are right. But there may be, in some applications, your program may malfunction. Yes, after stack overflow, it again points to the first location. So if stack overflow occurs, it points to the first location because stack memory is like cyclic buffer. So after 31st push operation, if you further perform push operation, then there is stack overflow and it will point to the first location. There is one question from one participant. What is bit configuration range of PIC microcontroller? Let me once again open. See, all these memory locations in the configuration memory are 8-bit wide. Usually they are 16-bit, but what is done? They are grouped as a low byte register, high byte register. So all these memory locations in configuration memory are 16-bit wide, and they are grouped as low byte and high byte. You can see here config G1H, H means high byte, config G2 low byte, config G2 high byte, config G3 high byte, and so on. So they are grouped under low byte and high byte. So each byte in the configuration memory is again 8-bit. So if you open section in the application note I have already shared on the Google Drive. The sheet which is I am discussing here. This is the application note. This is also called data sheet or application note. It is already shared on the Google Drive. So here you will see bitwise mapping of this configuration memory in the data sheet. So let me quickly go through it. Let me take same name, config G1H. Config G1. It is searching that page. Please wait. Yeah, here. So this table shows configuration bits. So like configuration G1H, how many bits are there? Total 8 bits. So look at here, for oscillator configuration, how many bits are there? Total 4 bits. So when you open this configuration memory view in this MPLAB XID software, it is shown slightly differently. So in the option field, how many options are there? You can see here, these options. So these options are basically controlled with the help of these 4 bits, F oscillator 0, F oscillator 1, F oscillator 2. So in fact, when you do selection here, these 4 bits are appropriately configured. Understand? So this is data table view, and here view of this configuration memory is different in the software. So purpose is same. So each and every configuration register is discussed in this application note. Just you go through it. So for example, this last 4 bits in config 1 high byte register. 1 don't care. External oscillator is selected and clock function on RA6. Like in our case, internal oscillator. So what is the right combination here? 1 0 0 0. 1 0 0 0. So when you select this option INT-IO6, INT-IO67, automatically when you generate the code from here and copy it there, at the time of programming configuration memory through PIC programmer, these bits will be loaded with which value? 1000, right? So each and every configuration register is described in this application note. For additional knowledge, you can go through it. Like for brownout reset, there is config G2 low byte register. Its meaning is given here. What you want to enable or what you want to disable. So description is given here. So without going into these bit combinations, with the help of this MPLAB XID software, just with the help of this option column, just we can selectively enable or disable graphically. And you can generate source code by clicking on the tab given below. So automatically, this combination, whatever combination we select, automatically this code is developed, code is generated, and in this code you will see there is #pragma directive used for configuration. So as we have selected this oscillator type, we have selected INT-IO67. In the comment, the description is also given. What is the description? Internal oscillator block is selected with port function on RA6 and RA7. So I hope I have addressed your question related to configuration memory. What is the use of scratchpad in SRAM? See, when you write your C program, you perform number of operations, like you perform addition of two variables. So while performing addition of two variables, you may require additional register. So automatically, this memory locations in general purpose RAM, it is also called SRAM. These locations are automatically allocated by compiler. As we are modifying content of variable during operations like multiplication, division, this content is modified during these operations. That's why this memory is also called scratchpad memory. So scratchpad memory is none other than your data memory, which is SRAM. It is also called general purpose RAM. Can we simulate on Proteus software? Yes. Tomorrow what I will do, we'll write first of all simple code for LED blinking and LCD interfacing. So both programs will also simulate using Proteus software. Okay, it is very simple thing. Stack underflow. In PIC 16F devices, you cannot modify content of stack pointer. There is one question from Professor Umesh Kamirkar. Stack underflow, how operates? In PIC 10F, PIC 12F, and PIC 16F series, there is no access for modifying the content of stack pointer. However, in PIC 18F series, it is possible to modify stack pointer. So by mistake, if you decrement stack pointer when it is pointing to the first location, then it goes to the last location, and this is called stack underflow. So like when stack pointer goes on incrementing, what happens is that after overflow, it points to the first location. So after underflow, it points to the last location. So this is called underflow. Can we use KiCad or Proteus? I never use KiCad for any kind of simulation. However, my team member has used Proteus simulation software. Let me tell you, I am not much. I do not have much knowledge about Proteus software because most of my product I have developed with the help of my development board. So I write piece of code, I compile it, and I directly download it on the microcontroller, and I test it on the development board, because there are some conditions which may be perfect in Proteus simulation software, but it may not work on hardware. There is one question from Professor Savita Pawar. Is xch.file is common for all PIC18F series? Yes. xc.h header file contains information of all PIC devices, not only 18 series. It contains information of all series, 10F series, 12F series, 16F series, and 18F series. So xc.h header file is common for all PIC devices, including all series. I am talking about 8-bit devices. So xc.h header file is common for all 8-bit PIC devices. There is one question from Samruddhi Nakudkar. Downloading MPLAB X is enough, or we have to download a compiler? You have to download both. Download and install them both, because MPLAB XID software is used for simulation purpose and writing your code. to compile your code, that is to convert your C code into X file, you require compiler. So compiler is must. So also download Xset compiler and install it for hands-on. Yes, Xset.h header file is enough. Other header files are not required. There is one question from Arindam Das. What is the benefit of breakpoint? If your code is perfect, breakpoint is not required. Say for example, you have written the code, and if it is malfunctioning due to incorrect program logic. When initially, if you are developing some application, for example, you are developing application for automatic hand sanitizer dispenser. You have written the code. After putting that code in hardware, if you are not getting expected result, that means something is wrong in your program. Assume that your hardware is correct. There is no fault in hardware. Your problem is with your program logic. You might have not written or added few instructions in your program. That's why your program is not working properly in hardware. So in that case, what you can do is open your code in compiler, Xset compiler here, and you can check even step by step also. For example, if you believe that your code is working fine up to here, and thereafter there is problem somewhere, then what you can do is, for example, you can add breakpoint here. Then what happens is that after adding breakpoint, if you run the debugger, your program will be executed up to this breakpoint, and program execution will be halted. So before this breakpoint, there are some other instructions. Those instructions will be executed, right? And there may be some program variables. So once program is halted here, you can go to the target memory views, and you can open either SFRs, file register, or EEPROM, maybe file registers, for example. So these are the SRAM content. File register is nothing but SRAM available on chip, that is data RAM. So you can check here content of each and every location, and you can see, for example, some of these locations are mapped to the your character type of variable or integer data type of variables. So those variables also you can monitor. It is possible to monitor your variable value. So with the help of this breakpoint and debugging, you can check selectively what is the content of that variable after execution of one particular instruction. So that is possible with breakpoint and single stepping. So that I am going to discuss tomorrow. What is how to add breakpoint, how to do single stepping, that we will see tomorrow. Can we use MATLAB for programming PIC microcontroller? Answer is no. MATLAB programs are not compatible with PIC microcontroller, so you cannot use it. There is one question from participant: can we still buy the IoT development board? Yes, you can buy from us. If you place order, we'll dispatch on the same day. However, along with IoT development board, you require PIC-Kit programmer and 12-volt adapter. 12-volt adapter also we are not supplying, assuming that most of you may have it. There is question from Amrit Muskan. If I have not enough knowledge about hardware coding, then what we can do? What I told you, if you have small knowledge of C programming, you can understand how to write simple code initially through this program. So that is my role. Initially, I will discuss how to write simple code for LED blinking. Then we will go for LCD interfacing. So once you understand simple codes, along with one complex code, definitely you can write codes for other applications. However, I recommend to go through the book suggested by me on day one. In my PPT shared, in one of the slide, name of the book and author of the book is mentioned. So you can refer that book for additional knowledge, and to get the knowledge of SFRs, memory map, and other things. You can go through the application note which is provided on the Google Drive. Name of that file is PIC18A4520. You can also directly download from the internet. Just Google PIC18A4520 datasheet. Let me demonstrate here. If you just Google PIC 18F4520 data sheet, you see here, it is available here, PDF file, just download. And same data sheet I have, this data sheet is also called application note. So for each PIC devices, the data sheet is available on Microchip website. Can we use MPLAB, XID and X8 compiler for programming Arduino Uno board? Answer is no. And I already told you, Arduino Uno boards can be used for prototyping, but the microcontroller used in Arduino board is from Atmega series. This Atmega series microcontrollers are susceptible to electrical noise, and especially in noisy environment, industrial environment. This Atmega series microcontroller malfunction, and problem is unwanted reset and software hang-up issues. Price of PIC microcontroller development board. In this development board, I am providing development board, PIC microcontroller 18F4520, LCD display, and ESP8266 module all together. So its price is 1300 rupees plus courier charges. So I will ask my coordinator, Mr. Shubham Omase, to once again share the link on WhatsApp group. And buying of development board is not compulsory. So if you want to do hands-on, I recommend to use this development board. Yes, Majid is book. Soft copies of these books are available, but we cannot share it. There is issue of copyright. So you can manage to get this book online. Yes, PIC controller by Majidi. Should I show my PPT once again for the title? This PPT is also shared, and in the PPT, this book is mentioned. Yeah, here it is. This is the book. Publisher is Pearson International Edition. PIC title is PIC Microcontroller and Embedded Systems using assembly and C for PIC 18. And author is Muhammad Ali Majidi. And along with this book, I also recommend to use this application note. Yeah, any other question? I think I might have missed some questions. There is one question from Samir Bhagwan. Which hardware do we need to order for better practice? I already said the IoT kit which I have manufactured is good enough for hardware practice. In this IoT kit, you can write different types of codes for serial communication. Maybe you can interface some kind of sensors. Because in this development board, I have given general purpose input output pins on box strip. Let me show you here. You will see here. This is ULN 2003 IC, motor driver IC. Although I am not going to talk on motor interfacing because of limited time, important programs I am going to discuss. So once you understand simple programs, you can write code and you can control your motor with the help of program. That motor you can directly connect it to this connector. These are the input pins for this motor driver IC, and these are output pins. So on the output side, you can connect motor. So you need to use here 12 volt adapter for powering this board. So 3.3 volt signal is also available inside on this board, which we can use for this ESP8266 module. So in this kit, entire board along with this LCD display, PIC microcontroller and node MCU is given. The benefit of this board is, in this board I have given connector for LCD display. You can directly put LCD display here. So you do not require 12 to 14 jumper wires. In other development boards, you may need to use 12 or 14 jumper wires for connecting LCD to microcontroller port pins. And I have mentioned here names of the pins. Like port D is connected to data pins of the LCD display. RC2 pin and RC1 pins are connected to enable and register select pins of the LCD display. So you can very easily connect LCD display without jumper wires. That is the benefit. I have given one switch for studying interrupt program. Pull-up register is given. So as pull-up register is already there, you can connect external keypad here. One key is already given here for learning the hardware interrupt. Then one analog port is given here. To understand analog to digital conversion, what you need to do is just connect this analog pin to any analog channel. For example, RA0 channel. And then you can check analog to digital conversion with the help of your program. So I2C pins are also taken out here. So you can also write your I2C communication protocol and you can connect it to any peripheral device supporting I2C protocol. So price I have already told you. There is question along with crystal Y2 is capacitor. See what kind of circuit is internally used on chip for crystal interfacing. That is not mentioned in the data sheet. You know, in most of the oscillator, what you need is you need resistor. Oscillators are two types: RC oscillator and LC oscillator, right? So construction of internal construction, only crystal cannot generate the oscillator. So on chip microcontroller, there is additional circuit, and that additional circuit along with crystal generates the oscillation frequency. And that type of circuit is not mentioned anywhere. So that's why it is not possible to tell what is the purpose of these two capacitors. And it is mentioned in the data sheet to use those capacitors if you go for external crystal. So in the oscillator circuit diagram, it is mentioned here itself. So internally, what is the logic? Exact circuit is not mentioned. So these capacitors are recommended with respect to on-chip circuit. Otherwise, oscillations may not be generated. Sir, if I have not enough knowledge about hardware coding, then what we can do? For coding, as I already said, use Majidi's book first thing. So you will get at least, you are saying hardware coding. Let me tell you, while developing simple applications, first of all, you decide what project you want to do. Say, for example, if you want to do temperature measurement system, simple example I am giving. For temperature measurement, you require some kind of temperature sensor, and different types of temperature sensors are available. One such sensor is LM35. Output of LM35 sensor is analog. So what you can do is, you can connect output pin of LM35 sensor to one of the analog pin of PIC microcontroller. Then you convert that analog signal into digital value. And with proper divisor, you can convert this digital number into actual temperature, which you can display on the LCD display. So this way, you can increase your knowledge related to coding. So you need to decide what application you want to do. Accordingly, you need to write the code. Say for example, if you want to use timer to generating specific time delay, then In PIC microcontroller, it is very easy to write program to control the timer. Only few instructions are required. So what you need to know is what are the on-chip peripheral devices available. For example, peripheral device could be timer, peripheral device could be ADC, peripheral device could be communication module, maybe UART module or MSSP module. So for example, if you decide to use ADC module, then you just open the section of ADC in your application note and just see what are the SFRs associated with that module. So with the help of program, I am going to discuss how to make use of those SFRs for performing different applications like analog to digital conversion. There are 5 SFR associated with ADC module. So how to configure these SFRs, how to read these SFRs, how to write these SFRs so as to perform this analog to digital conversion operation properly. So with the help of some case studies, I am going to discuss, don't worry. Omkar Bhave has already shared this book. Because of copyright issue, actually this book is also available with me, but because of copyright issue, I have not shared. Yeah, any other question? Yes, you can also develop your own development board. The only thing is if you fabricate in your lab, the only one problem is I am going to deliver one session on PCB design, wherein I am going to discuss about how to design this PIC development board in deep test software. The only problem is if you fabricate this PCB in your lab, you will not be able to print this text. You will see on this PCB, text is printed like RC7, RC6. This text you cannot print in your lab. So therefore, while using, you may get confused. What is the purpose of each pin? That's the only thing. And another thing is, if you want to fabricate only one PCB outside, then there are development charges of 1000 rupees plus additional charges for actual PCB. I am going to definitely deliver session on same design of this PCB. So it is up to you. And in addition, cost of this PIC microcontroller was earlier cheap, but now its price is almost doubled. Its price is above 400 rupees. Earlier it was cheaper. So I have already stock of these PIC ICs when price was low. So PCB design idea remains same. I am going to discuss how to convert circuit diagram into PCB. So once you understand method to convert circuit diagram into PCB, definitely with some practice, you can also convert other circuit diagrams into any kind of PCB. Yes, you can design any kind of PCB. The only thing is initially you may struggle a bit, but once you start gaining the experience, you can definitely design any type of PCB. Any other question? So questions are over. So let me close today's meeting here. Thank you so much for joining today's session. We'll meet once again tomorrow at 6 p.m.